What is up, YouTube? I've got the biggest poison build of Season 10. This thing is hitting for in the trillions. I've just completed Pit 120 and I'll go through everything you need to get this all up and so the build's updated on Mobalytics. I've got multiple different variants depending on like how you're going from early pre-chaos armor and then sub 200 Paragon all the way to full mythics. Myself, I don't have Shroud of False Death. I've just been doing this with Ring of Starless Skies. However, if you do have that, definitely whack it on. But everything else should be in here, and it's all up to date. So just check back on this, and if I've updated anything, I'll put it on here on the website. So I'll first go over all the armor that I'm using. As this is Chaos armor, you can use this in any slot. Depending on what you have with Shroud of False Death and what you might need for your chest slot, you might have to work your way around that. Otherwise, you definitely need to have Harmony of Eberwalker. I think that would be the main one, and Sunstained Warcrosier and Rod of Kepaleki. They're probably the most have-tos. If you're going to put in Shroud of False Death, I would swap out Seppen Zentek. And Heshes is really nice to have. I would try and prioritize this if you can, but if you need to put Shroud of False Death over this, that is a possibility, but I haven't had any testing to do so. So starting off with Sunstained Warcrosier, this is one of our biggest multipliers of 300%. You will need to get your stacks up with one of the focus skills. In this case, we're using Ravager specifically for this, which I'll go over later. But you'll need to get that to get up to 10 stacks to get 300%. The next is the Heshes, mainly for the quality of life with a protector of just pushing everything in and a defensive, along with the ranks to gorilla skills. Try to get these as high as you can, if you can. Harmony of Eberwalker. This is going to give us a variety of different passive multipliers that we can get in the skill tree, which I'll go over later. And this is just also a really nice multiplier of nearly 150%, which is huge. Seppen Zentek. Now, my masterworking isn't great on this. You would definitely want to get chance for basic skills still double damage. So Seppen Zentek along with Sunset Warcrosier, I would definitely try and masterwork to deal double damage. But I've spent billions of gold, and yeah, it's just been it's been tough this season for masterworking. So just do your best. And Rod of Kepaleki. And again, you want to do chance for core skills to hit twice, which as you can see, I haven't had the best luck this season. For my weapon, you want to get the aspect of Insatiable for Touch of Death. This is going to give us a huge 600% increase to Touch of Death. It's going to make sure that our swarms are just getting ramped up to the total max of damage. For the runes, I'm running Pok Q. Because of Kepaleke, Kepaleke is going to make sure we consume all our vigor all at once when we're at maximum. So Pok is going to be the greatest rune you can use to make sure we just constantly have a barrier up the whole time. For the amulet, I'm running Gorilla Skills. Initially, I had this, if you look at my PTR video, I had adaptability. Now I'm running Gorilla Skills. I've just found this to be more higher damage overall. Just make sure that you can get 3,333 armor. You will need to run Soothing Spice, Song of the Mountain. As you can see, I'm nearly at 3,333. And then finally Spiral Morning. And that should get you over it. As long as you have all the Paragon nodes with all the armor slots, this will get you above that. Next, Starless Skies. So this is just going to be nice just to have core skills. And on top of that, we want to get the resource cost reduction, which is good for Rodokepaleke builds. And then on top of that, the 50% multiplier. You can get bigger multipliers. However, the regen reduction is just really nice with Starless Skies with this build. And lastly, Ring of Adaptability. So if you are really low on armor and you can't reach this cap, then I would suggest you run Ring of Adaptability on the amulet. And you could swap this for Moonshine aspect of Moonshine. Sorry, Moonrise aspect of Moonrise. That's going to give you probably the next biggest bump. And yeah, it's going to give you up to a 60% multiplier, as Rod of Kepaleke makes your skills a basic skill, and the attack speed is also nice. Another mention is aspect of redirected force. If you just have 2 rings and you don't have Starless Skies, these could be your 2, and you could run adaptability on the amulet if you don't have enough armor. However, once you get up to the high Paragon levels where you can get all that armor, then I would switch over to Guerrilla Skills, increase your weapon damage up to 1500 bonus, and then get the adaptability on the ring. For the stats themselves, you need to make sure that you've got the armor. So you need to get armor onto your amulet. You will need to masterwork it twice if you don't have a GA on total armor. And then after that, any of the passives, especially potent, and then probably ravenous, are probably your best passives that you can get. But there's a lot of different passives that you can get, so we're pretty good in that department for Spiritborn. For my tempers, barrier generation and basic damage. So in this build, you'll see that we're running with pretty low life. I've got 6000 HP. On top of that, the seasonal power, we're running Mud Guard and Cornered Beast, so we're going to be running about 3000 HP. And we just want to make sure we're just full barrier. This build is all making sure that we just have barrier up the whole time, which is going to coincide with Viscous Shield on the Paragon node and just keeping us alive. The other one is resource generation. So on the ring, I've gone resource generation and potency. And for the stats, you want to make sure that you can get lucky hit chance on vulnerable. You could potentially get this on the amulet, but there's better stats that you can get on the amulet that you can't get on the ring. So just make sure that you get vulnerable on the ring. And then outside of that, yeah, potency damage or basic damage, either one is good. Potency damage is a higher stat, but you have a 1 in 4 chance to roll, when basic you have a 1 in 3. So depending on how your tempers are going, just work with that. And lastly, for the tempers on the weapon, obviously Touch of Death, Swarm duration, we want to get the duration as high as possible. That's going to be one of the biggest DPS increases that we can get. Now for the gems, we want to make sure that we're getting pure barrier generation. Generally in the past, like for other builds, like the Withering Fist, I've just gone for 123%. That's just going to cap us off nicely. But in this case, I've just maxed it out as much as I can, because as I said, we are running purely on barrier bonus. And when you'll see later, my health dips down to, nearly 10% HP, and we are just all on barrier. So I would just pump this as much as you can, because even if you can get the bulwark up pretty much continuously, we want to make sure our protector is also giving us barrier, our guerrilla skills are giving us barrier, everything. We just want to keep just topping up that barrier just to keep ourselves alive. So that's really important. So we're rocking barrier generation in both armor slots. And for the jewelry, we've got resist on one ring and the amulet, and then another one you'll want to get the skull to get armor. This is also going to get us over that cap of 3,300. Early on, you could potentially run 2 skulls if you want to get that armor up for aspect of unyielding hits, but it's going to come at a cost at defensives with resistance. As you can see, we are pretty resist low so far on this build. So for the Spirit Halls, we've got Guerrilla Skills. This is going to make sure that all our hits are giving us that 5% of max barrier. That's why we want to get maximum barrier generation going. So everything we do is constantly just topping up that barrier. And then we want to get Eagle for our secondary. This is going to give us a 20x on Vulnerable, along with giving us some Eagle Hall multipliers that we'll go through in the skill tree. So for the skill tree, you can get any 2 points you want for basics. Then we want to make sure we have balance exertion. This is going to give us core skill multiplier. And we want to get follow through. This is going to give us another multiplier, as Rodokepeleke would turn our core skills into basic skills. So we're just utilizing both of those multipliers. We also want to get vigorous. This is just going to give us more vigor generation, which we desperately need for the Rodokepeleke build. Because we are running Rodokepeleke, we want to consume all our vigor, and then we want to get all our vigor back instantly. Apex is just a damage multiplier to vulnerable, and we should be vulnerable all the time as long as you have the lucky on hit chance. If you, for whatever reason, don't have the lucky on hit vulnerable chance, then I guess you don't really need to get this. You can put this elsewhere, but this is going to give us a big multiplier, especially with the equal skills giving us a 20x. We just want to get 1 point in focal point. It is worth noting though that you could get the vulnerable if you have a polearm here, and you could max out focal point, but it's only going to give you I think it's a 30% chance. So I don't think it's really that great, on top of the fact that we don't really want to use a polearm as well. Generally want to use a quarterstaff, it's a lot quicker. And then unrestrained power, we will be unstoppable all the time from just smashing out all our skills with our passive. So unrestrained power is one of our best multipliers. If you do get an amulet with this, this is also good to run. But again, you could run any of these passives as well up here, and you could even run Apex as well, depending on what your role gets. Because we're running Sunsane Walkers here, it actually gives us all our passives for free. So as you can see here, your focus skills benefit from all their upgrades, and they increase your damage of your potency skills by 30% up to 300%. And because we are running Heshes, which is giving us plus 13 to gorilla skills, we have the gorilla hole. So we generally just have straight up the stats for Ravager. So we don't have to spec anything into Ravager. We also don't need to spec into any of the upgrades, as we'll get this for free, which is just really awesome to have, and we can save a lot of points with that. I'm getting just 1 point in Armored Hide. This is specifically just so I can get enhanced Armored Hide, so we have maximum resolve stacks basically all the time. I've then gone 1 point into Endurance and 2 points into Perseverance. We want to get as much damage reduction as we can, but we're pretty tight on points, putting everything into multipliers where we can. So this is the leftover 2 points, but it's really important as we'll be running low HP, and we just want to have as much damage reduction as we can get. Counterattack. This is really good for the dodge, but mainly we want this for the 30x on critical strike damage. Scourge, again, just the 1 point, and we're getting this for enhanced Scourge, so we can get the multiplier against crowd control enemies. If you are having regeneration issues, then I would get reinforced Scourge and take a point out of Perseverance. We want to get 1 point anti-venom, so we can get 3 points into Nourishment, another really nice multiplier. Dominant, this is going to give us another 15x on basically all the time, as we'll be constantly knocking down enemies. And 1 point into Resilient, basically just so we can get Dominant. 3 points into Vehemence. This is going to give us another multiplier on our potency skills, as Touch of Death is a potency skill, and it's now also a core skill thanks to Poise, Touch, and Death, and it's also a basic skill thanks to Rodakepeleke. So we have Vehemence, we also have Follow Through, and we also have Balance Excursion. This is just giving us a huge damage multipliers on Touch of Death. 3 points into Ravenous, and 3 points into Oppressive. We want to get max into Potent. This is one of the biggest multipliers we can get. And we don't really need Furnace, as we aren't running a Jaguar Hall, so this isn't going to do much to our skills. We are going to run Brilliance. This is another multiplier that we can get. You could put damage into Acceleration, but you'll need to evade, so it's not really as nice to play. But that is another multiplier again that we could get. You could take 2 points out of Perseverance and you could put them into Acceleration. But we are pretty tight on points, so it's been a bit of a test to go through all of this, and I can't say without a doubt what's the best. But I think it's best to give up this, just because it's just annoying to evade all the time and only lasts for 3 seconds. But potentially you could use this, as it is a better multiplier. You can see we only have 11.5% for 3 points out of this, and 1 point would give you 8%. So even going to this, the next would be 16. So it is really high multiplier. You just have to make sure that you're continuously spacing and jumping all the time. 1 point into the Protector. This is just so we can get up to Exalted Protector, which is going to give us a 30x damage. It's going to give us Unstoppable. And resolution, this is another multiplier. Spiritual attunement, this is just giving us maximum vigor. I have got another point in this. This is just going to give us a lot more damage increase with our adaptability aspect that we're running on the ring. So you could, I mean, it is nice to have if you can get more vigor. But as I said, like we're really tight on all the spells that we want to use and all the points. So you just have to weigh them all up. And lastly, supremacy. This is just going to give us another multiplier on our ultimate skills. And as you'll see, like we're running our multiplier all the time because we're able to spam the protector. This is all thanks to Prodigy's tempo. So every third consecutive cast of the same basic skill increases all our purchase skill ranks by 4. So we're going to get that bonus as it is a basic skill. And then we're also going to get the second bonus of every third consecutive cast of the same core potency skill reduces all skills active cooldowns by 10%. And this is really nice because basically we can just spam Touch of Death and then all our cooldowns will be up all the time. So we can get Armored Hide up continuously. We can spam Scourge. We can spam Counterattack and Ravager so we get the potent passive going. And then we can spam our ultimate, which is going to give us these two multipliers going all the time. We don't need to take initiative because this is going to give us Unstoppable thanks to Exalted Protector. For the Paragon, first thing to note, I am on 253 Paragon points. So depending on where you are, obviously you can't do everything. But I'll just go through all the options, and as you can see, my Paragon board isn't actually matching the Mobilytics one. The Mobilytics one is still up to date and good to go. The only reason I'm running this is because I was running Withering Fist, and this is the build I was using. And I just wanted to note, because it is really important if you're still leveling up. So if you are leveling up this season, they've absolutely buffed the tits out of all the legendary nodes, and they just doubled them. So as you can see, my board has been gone. When I went straight from here to the first board, I went straight to sapping, and then went straight to revealing, and then went straight to viscous shields, and then I went straight to convergence before I got any glyphs. So if you're still leveling up, this is the best method to use. You can just do it any way you really feel comfortable. You can like respec obviously later, but this is definitely the best way to go. So for the glyphs, I'm running Colossal. This is going to give us an increase to our resolve, and we should have resolve up all the time at 8 stacks. Then I'm running Bane. This is going to give us 15% chance to deal double damage, so that's just really nice to have. And it is worth noticing these maximum resources is going to be really good for getting the Rotokepleke damage, but most importantly, we also want to get this straight away. This is really good to get because it's just like a big DP increase running adaptability. While you are leveling up, I would probably like get rid of this section here. You probably want to get the armor, so I would get this. But like once you start getting all these legendary nodes and then veering off, I'll just go straight for the glyph and then start to get these other nodes probably later after you get the other glyphs. The next glyph I'm running is Spirit. This is going to give us an increase to our crit strike damage. I've been maxing it out now, but as I said, like while you're leveling up, you probably just want to get your 40 out of 40 and then move on. Same for Canny. It's going to give us an increase by 15% for all our non-physical damage. Again, just get 25 out of 25 as soon as you can. You could probably like ignore like some of these as well. You could probably ignore this as well. And just make sure that you get the damage increase first before you start veering out, because there's a lot of points we need and there's a lot of armor that we need on the board. So again, like it's really important to get these little ones with armor on them before you get anything else, like even max life. So the last glyph I'm running is Headhunter. This is going to give us a straight 10% increase to elites. You potentially could run Festa, and another good one is Revenge. Revenge is really nice if you have Shroud of False Death, because Shroud of False Death will give you free points into Bastion so you can get the Thorns up. But if you don't have Shroud of False Death, like it's just kind of, you need to use 2 points, and then I would rather use the points elsewhere, basically. So yeah, that's the last glyph, and then yeah, I'll just get the 40 out of 40 before you start putting more points into that. Again, for down here, running Convergence, when you are first leveling up, you might need to get some points into these non-physical nodes, because it's just going to help you get Convergence up to the 60%. But what I found is while I was leveling up, I would like hit that cap, and then I would take out some points into like non-physical here, because I wouldn't need them to make sure I hit that cap. And then you can use the points elsewhere, like especially for these armor ones, you really want to make sure that you hit the resist and you want to get the armor. These are really important. This will give you like a big DP increase for our aspect of unyielding hits. So for the Mercenaries, I'm running right here, basically because I want to get the 15% armor. And then from there, Mocking Lure, just so we get a 15x on our damage. If you do have extra armor from like the skull, you could run 15% resist all as well. So just depending on where you are leveling up, resist all can be nice at the start, but definitely you want to get this to hit the resist cap. And then I am running Variana, basically just for the 10% attack speed. That's just, yeah, really nice to have. For the seasonal power, this is what I've been testing with back off, but I haven't actually been using back off. Let me just quickly update that. So for me to get pit 120, this is what I was running. So firstly is Alacrity. This is giving us 30% increase in attack speed. And it's also increasing our dash, which doesn't do anything for this, but we just want the 30% increase to attack speed. I'm running Accelerating Chaos. Basically, because there's not that many other options we can go to. I will go through the options, but this is just giving us some cooldown reduction only. Otherwise, there's not really the best third option, I would say. Mud Guard. This is going to give us 1 maximum resist, which is really nice, although we're not really hitting the max resist. It is giving us a 20x on armor, which is really important for this build to get our armor up to 3,333 minimum. And on top of that, we're getting a 100% increase to barrier. And barrier is everything in this build, so it's really important that we get that. And lastly, a Beast Cornered. This is going to give us a minimum of 100x damage when we're sitting at 50% life from Mud Guard. But as you can see earlier, like I was sitting at nearly 10%. So this is going to give us even more damage. Like we could be up to 180% multiplicative damage. I have been testing back off. This will give you like some ridiculously huge numbers. Like you can see up to 60 to 100 trillion damage. But then you're going to come to a point where it's going to be really hard on the boss, and you're going to be doing 30% reduced. You could also run Crazy Brew. This is another good option, I would say, to replace Accelerating Chaos. The only thing is that we don't have that much cooldown reduction. Although our skills are up all the time, we're not getting that from cooldown reduction. We're getting that from our passive. And so you want to make sure that the Crazy Brew is not going to impact you from dying, because although we are full barrier, there might be some times where you need to spam that healing potion. So you can test with this. Overall, it will be definitely a DPS increase over Accelerating Chaos. But it could just be a quality of life issue if you need to use your potion, especially between packs. If you don't have your barrier up, you don't really want to be sitting on 10% HP. You'd rather be sitting on 50% minimum. Another thing to note is while you are leveling up, you can potentially take Power Siphon, and you might think, it's pretty silly, but since we're running Rodokepeleke, it is a basic skill, and we can then just keep hitting. And although we'll have 0 vigor, we won't be getting anything from the Rodokepeleke bonus of 0.9% increased critical strike damage for each point of vigor, which is definitely a DPS increase over doing it this way. But you can get 100x increased damage, and you can just spam this out all the time, which is really nice to have. Outside of that, Convocation of Spirits, I did test that, but it's really not the best way to go. Um, Chaos Unleashed, yeah, isn't going to do anything for that. I have tested running Brawn over Brains, as this build was very squishy, and you could run this with a Banished Lord's Talisman, but you'll need to get 275 Vigor. But I just found that this wasn't giving me anywhere near the damage as running a Beast Cornered. This was definitely the best for this season. Okay, so a few important things to note. With our builds, Sunstain, War Crazier, we want to get the maximum 300% multiplier. To get this, we can only get it from our focus skills. So Ravager is our only focus skill on the bar. So as you see, it will be up all the time. But this guy here is your potency skills, and you can see it increases every time we use Ravager. So you'll want to get this up to 10. This does mean that we have a bit of a delay on our real damage. So all the damage you saw when I was hitting the bosses at the start, you either have to sit there, you can just sit there and like hit the ground if you want. Otherwise, like you're going to be doing a lot of damage regardless. You can nearly just one shot the uber bosses without it. But you just want to make sure that that's up all the time. Outside of that, you can then just spam all your skills. Like you'll see they'll just come off cooldown all the time, running Prodigy's tempo. So we can just basically just spam these all the time. This is one going to give us potent stacks by constantly using Ravager and counterattack. And then Scourge is going to give us a multiplier for basically all the trash and sometimes on the boss. And then Armored Hide especially is just going to give us our resolve stacks, which are here, to make sure that we're constantly getting 8 resolve, because we want to keep it at maximum. So our glyph is doing 16% multiplicative damage all the time. You will notice it will dip, but from running the modifier of Armored Hive grants max resolve, this is just going to make sure that we constantly just have maximum resolve nearly all the time, because the cooldown is like very low. So when you do go into a dungeon, you will note that maybe the first pack might take a little bit longer as your stacks get up, but after that, it's you can just keep cruising. If you do like go along, you can just like spam the ground by like just holding shift and click. Or if you're on a controller, you can also just like click it as well, and then just keep the Ravager stacks up. Otherwise, just wait till you go to the next pack and then just get your stacks back up. But it is just something to note if you want to be min-maxing all your damage. This does make it a bit more clunkier, but this is definitely going to be like the strongest poison build if you want to pit push. Otherwise, I do have another build of running Withering Fist, which basically uses all the same glyphs and builds. So you can also do that for just general farming, I guess, of all content. But if you want to be like pushing the pit as far as you can go, this is definitely the way to go. So you can just see you can just spam all our abilities. I don't think there's too much really to go over. You will just spam. You'll see the Touch of Death orbs. They'll be like moving around. When you go from different packs, what you can do is if you do run back off, so you could run back off, and yeah, sorry, before I was running Power Siphon. You can run back off, and you'll see that our damage here will be a lot higher than what it is in front. So you can like hit a pack, and then you can run to the next pack, and you'll only be able to have 3 Touch of Death orbs up at once. So you can kind of just like keep moving along, and these will do like a lot of good damage to trash packs. But you just have to do this at the cost of the boss at the end. If you're going to be like right in their face, you're going to be doing 30% less damage. So that's just one thing to note. For Rodakepeleke, so we want to make sure that we're consuming all our vigor all the time. You will need to get enough resource generation to make this possible. So having Ring of Starlit Skies is obviously really nice to have. But apart from that, I've got resource generation on uh, my ring. If you need to get it on the amulet as well, if you don't have Starlit Skies, it's just another thing to note. But as you can see, like my vigor is just sitting nearly just at max all the time. Um, Ravager will give you more increase. So once we have Ravager going, this is just another a way that we can make sure that we're just constantly maxing out this. So it's possible that you'll see it like dip if you don't have enough. If I take off just this one ring, and you'll see it kind of just sitting. It does look like it's not moving, but it really is. It's really just going up and then down. But you can see like what the difference is from that much resource generation difference, and then now it just sits just there. So you want to get that as close as you can get. But depending on like what you've done earlier with your tempers, yeah, it might not be possible. If you guys have any more questions, please just like leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. There is like a lot in this build. It's like it is pretty face roll once you get it all up and running. But I can understand some of it might be complicated, or you might just be understanding why am I using this certain passive or not. So just reach out if anything doesn't make sense. Otherwise, just look at the mobility guide. I will try and keep that up to date all the time. And I've got different levels depending on where you are on your build. And if you want to see the 120 run, I'll put it in the description. It's not the most entertaining video, but if you just want to see like what it done, wasn't the cleanest run by any measure, but I'll put it in the description. All right, peace out, guys. Have fun slaying demons.